Hi, this is Billie Beene here with another World News Update, October 11, 2023, episode 69. Some of the things we'll be covering. The blonde Azov. Are the Azov unit out of Ukraine? I believe it's so. And setup in both Israel and America coming next. Rescue. And the U.S., within 7 to 10 days, will have boots on the ground. Where will they strike? Some of my sources are God in the Bible, Patriot subscribers, War News 24/7, Hal Turner, New York Prepper, Canadian Prepper, Lara, Logan 107, David, Nino, Rodriquez, Michael, Jaco, plus. So let's get started. First, we'll begin with this topic of the Azov being inside Hamas and a part of the attack upon Israel, and why I think that's so. So we had reports, multiple reports of blonde Hamas. And it just came to me, a download from God, and I had other sources. So I believe the blonde Hamas operating and attacking Israel are actually the Azov unit out of Ukraine. So now this unit, I believe now is a German bloodline group. And we hear that Germany is going to rescue their citizens from Palestine on October 12 to 13. I believe that the ground invasion of Israel will not begin until at least October 14. I submit that Germany is sending in planes not to rescue German citizens inside Palestine, but to rescue this German bloodline Azov. Now, operating out of Ukraine is the Azov group. I thought it odd all this time how the U.S. is funding this group. They actively practice the philosophy of Germany of World War II. And you say, well, I didn't think that was still going on in Germany. I submit new information is coming out. So the U.S. is funding this group, and they are a primary part of the current attack on Israel. And Germany is sending their planes to rescue them. October 12 through 13. I believe it's good to get our ducks in a row and to accurately name our ducks. And now we have this. So, we have a setup going on inside Israel. So we've got the Gaza Strip, which is 10 miles wide by about 25 miles long, that has in it a population of 2.3 million. 50% are men. And I'd already made that statement. This doesn't gel with traditional population demographics. In any given population, you have maybe 50% adults who are male and female, and then you have children. In this case, we're talking about 50% are adult males. So this would be like at least 1.5 million inside Palestine. So that leaves us with 1.5 million women and children. And in this population, the average age is 18 years old. So we're talking about a population that's primarily children. Now, Israel has said that they have suspended the Geneva Conventions, and they have suspended all rules of law, saying to their soldiers, fire at will with extreme prejudice. Extreme prejudice is a U.S. military term meaning kill them all. Now we have this. So we have right here a border, Rafah, that's inside Egypt. And we see at least 1.5 million women and children inside Palestine. Now, Israel has says this will be a long war lasting months for Israel to go in and get rid of all the people who are still breathing inside Palestine. Meantime, on October 10/11, Israel cut all humanitarian aid to Palestine, food, water, electricity, medicine, fuel. So apparently Israel believes that the world will stand by and let over 1 million women and children starve to death. Now we have this. So we have Jordan and their military and Egypt and their military are now putting together trucks to go into Palestine to deliver humanitarian aid. Israel has said to Egypt, if your trucks cross this border, we will destroy you. Egypt, with an army of 1 million, has said to Israel, bring it. So that's going on. And now we have this. Let's see what other things are going on. So, yeah. Now I'll give the background of this global World War III that's getting cranked up, orchestrated by the deep state. And let's identify who the deep state is. Initially, I'll begin with this. Hal Turner put out a clip, as did Stephen Gardner with Israeli News Live in 2009 in the House of Representatives of the federal U.S. government. We had a Republican from Texas, Dr. Ron Paul, who stood up to make a speech in the House of Representatives, something about funding, but who detailed that it was the U.S. and Israel who had begun, trained, funded, and continues to give orders to Hamas. So let's know and understand which shadow parts of which governments are operating where. And we saw also that the U.S. government, this would be the shadow part, and the shadow part of the CIA, and the shadow part of the U.S. military, overthrow governments, and they overthrew the government in Iran. They installed the Ayatollah Khamenei, and they overthrew the democratically elected government in Ukraine in 2014 and put in an actor, Zelensky. Now, What's going on in Iran, I believe, looks like a rogue deep state, that the deep state arm inside the U.S. and Israel now understands is operating outside the overseeing of the shadow U.S. government and the shadow Israel government. And I'll show you how this comes to be. This has to do with who it is we are fighting. And they're not flesh and blood. So we have this. We had the fallen angels. We have Satan. And by the way, Stephen Gardner with Israeli News Live says the top tier of the Pentagon regularly interact face-to-face with the fallen angels and other evil non-terrestrial species and get their orders. So we had the fallen angels who mated with humans. They made the Nephilim. Now the Nephilim have a physical body. They have a soul. That's the mind, emotions, and will. But they have no spirit from God. They are not human until, according to Deuteronomy chapter 17, the 10th generation. And I submit this means you have one mating with humans at the top. You go through 10 generations where it's only humans mating. At the 11th generation, according to gene decode, the individual then becomes 52% human and can receive spirit from God. Now these Nephilim, non-humans, also make up the deep state, 13 bloodline families. It includes most royals up on earth. Some of the families we know, Rothschild, who control the banks, and Rockefeller. Some of the other family names are Freeman, Reynolds, Collins. Now that doesn't mean that all individuals with these last names are Nephilim. But some of them are, and it means they're not human. And that's who we, the people of God on earth, are battling. So I believe it's important to understand this is a battle against God and Satan, against good and evil. So now we have this. We have New York Prepper bringing this out. Hawaii. Hawaii was given this message about October, I'm going to say 5, to prepare 14 days of food and water and prepare to shelter in place. Now, New York Prepper is saying that 14 days is traditionally, from his military training, the number of days you would stay in if you were interacting or in your area was radiation coming from a small tactical nuke. And he also brings this out. We had that EBS inside the U.S. October 4. Now, I had put out in previous videos 2 days, I believe, to watch for: October 7 and October 11. October 7 is the date of the Hamas attack. Now, today's October 11, so we'll see what's going to happen. Now, Hal Turner, and I put out in a previous video about the money supply inside the U.S. contracting, and that the deep state's traditional method of dealing with economic collapse is to go to war. And now we see also certain things taking place inside the U.S. government. We have now an empty Speaker of the House, and that's at the U.S. federal government limit. So empty Speaker of the House, who is third in line to be President of the U.S. It's widely speculated and believed that JB will be out soon. KH is not eligible. Next in line would be the Speaker of the House. Now, Steve Quayle, about a month ago, had put out, it's good to know what are the rules of succession of the President of the U.S. If you have the President out, the Vice President out, the Speaker of the House out, who comes next? And it begins with secretaries of various agencies. I believe the next in line, number 4, would be the Secretary of Agriculture. So that's going on. We see more set up inside the U.S. and Israel for global deep state moves. Yeah. And it's believed and predicted by Benjamin Fulford that in this war cycle, we're going to see changes in governments that would include the U.S. It's also predicted that Chairman Xi would be out in China. Prime Minister Trudeau will be out in Canada. So that's going on. And now, David Nino Rodriquez interviewed 107, who's bringing this up. The deep state is shaping the new world order. And we know with a global economic collapse, what the deep state wants to do is bring in CBDCs, digital bank accounts, and social credit scoring. It's not going to happen. But 107 says also their objective is to fracture relationships between nations to also bring about the new world order. You know, like the Klaus Schwab, we elites. Okay, not happening. Now, Lara Logan is bringing this out, and we can see a setup also impacting what's happening in Israel and Iran. And we saw JB loose up $6 billion to go to Iran, which we understand Iran is now using to finance their Hamas group inside Palestine. And we see also, Afghanistan with the U.S. weapons left there. That was part of the deep state plan for this global situation going on. And we know that as far back as O from Kenya had sent pallets of money to Iran. I have learned over the past couple of years, you cannot judge what are the relationships between different governments, certainly not based on mainstream media, that the deep state also controls. And that brings me to the October 7 attack on Israel. Before it happened, the shadow part of the government of Israel and the shadow part of their military had told the mainstream media not to report the attack. The people of Israel did not know about it for 4 to 5 hours. So that's going on. And now we have this. Okay. So we have multiple attacks going on. We've got Israel. We've got Hezbollah in Lebanon. We've got Iran in Syria. And we've got Jordan. Iraq, Iran. Now, just a few days ago, October 11, probably about October 9, Iran was sending a convoy from Iraq to Syria that was bombed. It's unknown if it was the U.S. or Israel who bombed it. Israel's position now is also they're in line to use the Samson option, which means they would nuke everyone. If they were going to die, they would go down fighting, taking as many with them as possible. And now we have this. We have Benjamin Netanyahu, who many sources believe is a double, not the flesh and blood original Bibi Netanyahu avatar for the deep state, has declared himself dictator inside Israel, dissolving all forms of government and political parties and taking control of the judicial system. Bibi is in the chair. And now we have this. Yep. Further foundating that this was a setup by both the deep state inside the U.S. and the deep state in Israel. Hal Turner had reported on October 1 B-52s inside the U.S., at least 9 up to 2 dozen, moving out of the U.S. to Europe. Burning Platform is reporting Russia supports Palestine. The Daily Mail is reporting. Now, this has to do with the numbers of the Israeli military. So, even though the people and inside Israel and inside their military, who are not part of the shadow groups, understand that they were set up by a shadow part of their own government and a shadow part of their own military and a shadow part of their intel arm, Mossad. Despite that, the people and the military understand that they are fighting for their lives and the lives of their children. So 360,000 reserves have been called up and reported. Israel also has 173,000 in their military. Now, I submit to you the deep state. So we have deep state. Let's name our ducks. Deep state. Inside the U.S., it's primarily the Rockefellers. Inside Israel, it's primarily the Rothschild bloodline family. And now Iran and Hamas, as I reported previously, appeared to be a third rogue deep state family. And I don't have a clue yet which family is now running Iran and Hamas. But that's going on. And now we have this. Yep. And now we'll move on to rescue. And I'll give my analysis. So this is Gaza. This is the Golan Heights, which is currently being attacked. We have the West Bank. Palestine consists of 2 parts, and that's Gaza and the West Bank. Now, we are hearing numbers like Hamas attacked with 400. My analysis is Hamas attacked with 4,000 to 5,000. And I'm basing that on the numbers of the dead that are coming out. Now, along this border, and even today, yesterday, October 10, in Ashkelon, an Israeli town that had Israeli citizens sheltering in place based on their attack by Hamas. Hamas said to the Israeli citizens, "Get out." That happened yesterday. So currently, Hamas is in control of these areas. And the reason I believe the attack consisted of 4,000 to 5,000 is, even though a part of the setup by the shadow part of the Israeli government military disarmed the Israeli people, disarmed the police in this area, and removed the military, it appears that a lot of the Israeli people had enough sense to keep a weapon with them in this area. 1,500 dead Hamas. So that's 1,500. I believe this is the number that invaded. And also the number of dead Israeli citizens is 1,200. We have 400 kidnapped, and I've seen some of the pictures of the children that were kidnapped. Most of them are toddlers, 1 to 2 years old. They're being kept in Palestine in dog cages. So 400 kidnapped, 1,200 dead, thousands wounded. We also had in this area a festival going on, and what they found there is 260 dead and hundreds missing. I submit those hundreds missing could have been abducted by other forces. So we see the numbers don't support an attack group by Hamas of 400. I submit it had to be 4,000 to 5,000. And we also know, as part of the setup, was that Egypt had intel 10 days before the attack, and they gave it to Israel, to the US, to the UK, and Russia. The attack was not a surprise, except to the Israeli people, and we understand Americans killed is up to 11. Now, American families are coming forth and saying that their family members are missing and they believe they may have been kidnapped. So now we have, reported by Hal Turner, Watchwoman 65, War News 24/7, an active rescue going on and being planned to free the children, Israeli citizens, American citizens, plus. And we have this, Palestine sees 22 settlements. That again supports my attack numbers of 4,000 to 5,000. They killed the Israeli military, kidnapped Israeli citizens. So that's going on. And they put something like 4,000 to 5,000 rockets into Israel, again supporting high numbers. They came in as paragliders. We now see, in the last day, October 11, we see Hezbollah also coming in as paragliders into the Golan Heights to attack Israeli citizens. Yep. So that's going on. Now, the rescue is going to involve the U.S. military, Delta Force, Navy SEAL Team 6, plus Special Forces of Israel. And they are preparing to go in and rescue. Now, I submit, based on that German evac of the Azov team, October 12 and 11, that Israel will not invade Gaza until at least October 14. So they have a couple of days now to go in to rescue. And we have this. Greece, okay, we have additional warships now going to the Mediterranean. So let's get the warships in line. So we've got Israel, we've got Gaza, the West Bank. Okay, Mediterranean Sea. We had already heard that the USS Gerald Ford with a strike carrier group was there. The U.S. is also sending the USS George Washington. The U.K. is sending a Prince of Wales ship. We now have Greece sending a warship, the Parsa. So that's going on. Yeah. Special Forces in Europe. The U.S. Special Forces in Europe are on a standby. This is also part of a potential rescue, and they are called door kickers. So they may also participate in rescuing both Israelis and some believe Americans, and certainly Israeli children from Hamas. Now, Israel, has closed the border with Egypt. I covered that because I believe Egypt and Jordan are going to take military trucks in. And if Israel fires upon Egypt and Jordan, well then, that's additional players in the war situation. Now, Israel has been bombing buildings inside Gaza. And Michael Jaco, former Navy SEAL and also demolitions expert, says these buildings inside Gaza, Israel bombs. But Michael Jaco says the way they're going down, they're imploding. That means you had pre-positioned explosives in certain strategic structural points of the building to bring it down. We see another plank in the setup operation. Now we have this. All right. Now we'll talk about U.S. boots being put on the ground. So now, we've got Israel, Gaza, the West Bank. We've got Jordan, Iraq, Iran. We've got Hezbollah in Lebanon. We've got Syrian forces. We've got Turkey. We have Russia and China now backing Palestine. We have all the Middle Eastern nations backing Palestine based on religion. That would be the Muslim Islamic religion. We know that this first attack is taking place in Israel. We understand the next attack most likely will be in the U.S. And it will not, in Israel, the deep state's objective is to take out a certain genetic bloodline, and that's the Jewish bloodline. In Ukraine, the deep state wanted to take out a certain bloodline, and that was the Slavs, both who spoke Ukraine and who spoke Russian. In the U.S., the attack will be not so much to take out certain bloodlines, but people who are red and yellow, black and white, who are Christians. So the next attack, many believe, will be in America. We've already seen one attack on Maui against the U.S. military forces, American citizens, and the disappearing of 2,400 children. So that's going on. But the attack on America is to take out a religion, and that's Christianity. And now we have this. So we have Lebanon saying, if the U.S., and we have the warships, we've got warships, U.S. warships in the Mediterranean, and Lebanon says if America gets involved, then Lebanon will attack Israel. Lebanon is today attacking inside Israel from Lebanon and also from Syria, and this is also an Iran group that's making that attack today. And just this afternoon, October 11, about 2 p.m., the Dimona nuclear power plant was hit inside Israel by Lebanon. Yep. And this is coming out of Iraq, Iran. All the Middle Eastern nations are saying if the U.S. gets involved, then they will begin to immediately attack U.S. military bases in the Middle East. Iraq has directly made this statement, and there are several U.S. bases here. There's a base in Syria. So that's going on. Now, we have many U.S. bases inside Jordan, but Jordan is aligning with the U.S. and has opened its airspace to the U.S. That happened October 10. And now we have this. There was an attack. Iran was sending a group from Iraq to Syria that's been bombed. It's unknown who did the bombing. And so the Israeli government on October 9 said to the Israeli people, prep with food and water and plus to stay inside at least for 72 hours. And now Palestine is a proxy. We understand it's under the control of a rogue deep state group. Iran, the U.S. Rockefeller Group believed they were in control of Iran, but when Blinken went to negotiate peace, he found out that the U.S. deep state group was no longer in control of Iran and Hamas. There's a rogue deep state group now in play. Yeah. Now we have this. Israel has bombed inside Palestine on October 9 3 mosques. And many outside nations are saying if the U.S. gets involved, then we're going to attack U.S. military bases and directly engage with both U.S. troops that are in Europe, not like Poland and Romania, and engage with the U.S. warships. Now, the president of Russia went on Russian TV October 9 and said the U.S. should stay out of helping Israel, and if the U.S. gets involved, Russia will help Palestine. Now, Canadian Prepper is reporting this, that the U.S. military will deploy to Syria, to Lebanon, and to Iran. Now, Hal Turner has some information on deploying to Iran. And Canadian Prepper, with his contacts inside the prepping industry, says that prepping companies with, dried food and make the military meals they use in combat situations. So these prepping companies have received massive orders from the U.S. military to fast track their orders, and the intel is they expect attacks on NATO nations. Now, New York Prepper has put this out, and it's been confirmed by, so we have Jordan, Iraq, Iran, that the 101st Airborne, this is a U.S. Special Forces unit, currently stationed in Romania, that has about 4,500 members. Yesterday is moving from Romania, and they are going to Jordan. So that's already taken place. Yep. Now, last night, New York Prepper brought this out. He does updates, and he's a Christian prepper, so I like his site. He also tracks the planes, and he was tracking last night, October 10, about 11 p.m. in the U.S., 2 U.S. stratofuelers right on the edge with Iran, transponder off. It's believed that soon we'll see something with Iran. War News 24/7 confirms Israeli soldiers have been killed. Hezbollah has hit inside, so Hezbollah's hit in this area with Cornet missiles. Now, we heard the Benjamin Netanyahu double avatar for the deep state say that all rules of war are suspended for Israel. And we have reports that Israel is using phosphorus bombs both inside Lebanon and inside Gaza. Phosphorus bombs, I believe, are outlawed by the Geneva Convention and other rules of war. And now we have this today, October 11. Lebanon is evacuating its citizens away from the border. The U.S. Embassy in Lebanon is evacuating U.S. citizens. Yeah. So, yeah, and I've already put forth my position on when I believe Israel will invade Gaza. I believe it's after the German planes have come to evac the Azov group out of Palestine. And now we have this. So that's about, Hal Turner is reporting about 2 p.m. this afternoon about the Dimona nuclear power plant being hit by a drone inside Israel by Lebanon. Israel suspends the rules of war, and now we have this. There's a rogue deep state in charge of Iran, and also Hal Turner's intel is that within 7 to 10 days, and so that would be about October 18 to October 21, the U.S. military will have boots on the ground inside Iran. Yeah. And rumors are during this time, China will take Taiwan and possibly move on to take the Philippines. North Korea may strike South Korea, and the U.S. has sent another battle warship to that area. And now we have, in addition to all of this going on with Israel, we have Russia. So this is the border with Finland. We have Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and we have Georgia down here. Now, inside Georgia, about 2 weeks ago, Hal Turner's intel and other sources, the U.S. government and European government and their shadow parts of their military were going into the nation of Georgia to act with military force to overthrow the democratically elected government, so the U.S. military could put nukes here to strike inside Russia. Now we understand a few weeks ago, 300,000 to 500,000 North Koreans are inside Russia, and their job is to protect their borders here. And now, apparently, an attack on a pipeline running from underwater pipeline. This is the Baltic Sea, was hit, running from Finland into Estonia. Now, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are NATO nations. And Russia has come out and intimated that they may possibly take action against these nations. So we see Russia setting up for an attack on NATO nations. So now a short prayer. Father, we ask that you recall our blood covenant with you through the sacrifice of Jesus, whom many call Yeshua. We ask, Father, that you activate your war angels upon earth under the command of the Archangel Michael to neutralize all enemies of your people, domestic, foreign, and off-world, where they are trying to operate and hide in their nest among the stars. We ask, Father, that you bless the two nations on earth who began dedicated to you, and that would be Israel and America, and that you bless us with peace. And we say thank you, God the Father, God the Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and God the Holy Spirit. I say to my family and friends, remain steady out there, continue to pray. It's good to remember God is in charge and He is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.